Welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing podcast. I'm Kaye, a shamanic leadership coach and healer, guiding you through life with a foot in both worlds. When you understand the terrain of the inner landscapes, the mental, emotional, spiritual and energetic, you will become the leader within your physical life, both personally and professionally. After all, the power of change is in your hands. Let's get this journey started. Welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing. What a treat we have today. So let me introduce what happens when two people who have built everything on the outside, the businesses, the success, the reputation, watch it all fall apart on the inside. Laki Mafi spent 2 decades in military leadership and business, closing millions in deals and building companies across Australia. Lezly and Kaye built 2 multi-million-dollar companies from the ground up. On paper, they had everything. In reality, both were divorced, both were undone by the very patterns that made them successful. And then something shifted. They each began the inner work separately, and of course together, they're newlyweds. And from that place, not from need, not from pattern, but from a deeper sense of wholeness, they found each other, not as a finishing line, but as a beginning. Because relationship is always growing. And this is a conversation about love, but not the kind you've been sold on. Welcome, Lezly and Laki. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you.
So great to be here.
I've been watching you longer, Lezly, and following the work that you do, and of course more recently you, Laki, and I've watched the growth and witnessed the growth as well, which is always so beautiful. But we only recently actually met some years down the track, maybe 3 weeks ago in person, and being in the energy with both of you and feeling the energy connection between the two of you and knowing what a lot of couples have been facing, but it seems amplified this year. I thought we just need to get you both in so we have both perspectives about, tell us a bit about your story, but also about relationships these days and how to navigate them, because there's a lot of energy amplifying things within each of the masculine and the feminine. Some people will stay together and some people will leave, but it's the knowing of the terrain as to where the truth sits.
I love it. Yeah, I think I just want to add to that. Yeah, it's been amazing sort of witnessing from the outside, and then it was clearly time to meet, and I'm very glad to be having this conversation, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I think I said this to you when you mentioned the conversation, that a lot of people just aren't taught how to relate with each other, and I think even in conscious communities as well, there's almost like a level of internal maturity that's required to hold like business, parenting and conscious relating, because each like entity sort of needs energy from you, and it's in learning how to be inside that whole ecosystem that, in my view, relationships can thrive.
I think that's also really powerful what you're talking about, Lezly, because you're talking about the 3 components. So, because these days people are so busy, more and more people are wanting to do their own businesses, but it actually takes an understanding of each component and how they actually marry together, really, isn't it? What do you think, Laki, from your perspective?
Yes, it's a battle of sorts from the men's perspective to show up under the guise of how society has painted that man.
Yeah.
And so therefore our job description has already been printed out for us. All we need to do is fill in the gaps. And it's those gaps that we fill that we start missing all the micro moments of life and within the relationship for us to really understand that's where the relationship starts to break down. So much like what Lezly spoke into about even being consciously aware, that leads us into the embodiment piece, which are 2 separate things, to know what to do versus to actually do what to do. This is where a lot of breakdown and can come into our relationship and within ourselves as well when we're on our own journey.
Laki, when did it start for you? What was the pivotal moment of, And I'm in my second marriage. I was in relationship 14 years with the birth father of my children, and now 23, 24 years with my husband now. So I sort of understand the multifaceted pathways within ourselves and within relationship that we need to navigate. But there must have been a pivotal moment of that awareness piercing what wasn't working.
Yeah, it was just like questioning myself, is this it? At the time, my daughter was about 10, eight, 9 years old, and the relationship, my first marriage, wasn't doing so well, and everything felt like Groundhog Day. And that's when it kind of came to me, and it's like, this can't be it. And then I saw on social media a post, a reel about another man walking my daughter down the aisle when she gets married, on the basis that I wasn't trustworthy enough to hold her hand.
Oh, chills just moved all through me. Wow.
Yeah, and that's when I wanted to do the work. My ex-wife at the time, she was already in the work.
Yeah.
But I was that defined male like what do you call it? I was just defined to be told what to do and how to do it, because I was too afraid to step in.
Is there that judgment too, of feeling judged, like you're not good enough, and the wife is asking the men to do the work as though there's something that you're just getting so wrong, rather than, the woman needs to look inside of herself from my perspective, and also recognise what each are bringing to the other and how they're making them feel.
Yes.
And you said the powerful word, you wanted to change. That had to come from within you.
Yes, and that was my invite. And looking back at it now, I consider my ex-wife my biggest teacher. And if I was to learn something in that relationship, was how to invite my partner to want to be better or to be better. There was there was no real invitation for me to grow. There was a decision, I need you to be this.
Yeah.
And that's where the defiance came in, to wanting to learn to be better for her, because I was being criticized and judged against other men. And I was like, well, I can't be this guy that you idolize over here, so I'll just be me. But at the end of the day, it was pure shame and inadequacy, because I wasn't worthy enough for her to invite me into the work.
There's that word, shame. That'll stop anybody in the tracks. I was just going to hand it over to you.
Well, I kind of want to, like, in my observation, and so I'll give you, your listeners, a little bit of backstory. So we were both married previously. I was in a relationship for 10 years, married for 5. He's a father of my child. And I was the version of the woman that would nag and create ultimatums. And I, with my ex-husband, didn't invite him to do the work. I told him he had to, and gave him ultimatums if he didn't. And that ultimately led to the breakdown of our marriage. But just in some words that both you and Laki have used, is the invitation, but also the space, because Laki spoke to shame and you spoke to giving him space to sort of come up with his own decision. And I think what I would love the people listening to hear is that a man has to choose it himself.
Yes.
And also, if you're inviting him to do the work, it is possible, but you need to remove expectation and your timeline. So Laki and I have been together 18 months and married for 8 weeks of that. But in the time that we've been together, his growth has been tenfold, because he has the foundations to grow himself, but it's a choice that he makes inside of that. I'm not sitting here going, oh, you have to change, or you have to do this, or you have to study that. We set standards for our relationship when we first got together. So we created what is Ground Zero, which is what we teach our couples that we're coaching with, in that we both commit to growth for ourselves and for the relationship.
This is really interesting. Sorry to stop you
No,
there.
yeah.
I'm wondering if this comes from maturity, because when I first started dating Drew, one of our first dates, or very soon into it, was we sat in a restaurant opposite each other, and it was like a business deal almost. Like, this is what I want for myself. What do you want for yourself? This is what I will allow. What do you want to allow? This is where I would, if it progresses. And we just kept laying honesty out on the table, because attraction isn't always enough. Do you know what I mean? That it's what are the foundations of similarities that we have here that we can actually grow from? But it did feel sort of like a business deal about relationship. Do you know what I mean?
We were similar. I think it's maturity, but also it's like, for me, it was, I know who I am, and I've spent 4 years single and celibate. I'm not willing to negotiate on that anymore. And not that I don't love the word compromise, because I think we can mask sacrifice as compromise, in my opinion. But it's like, I always keep, like, what would love do at the center of any decisions that we make. And for me, it has been, well, these are the standards we're setting in the relationship. And when you're not willing to let those standards drop, then it holds both of us to account.
Yes.
It's like, here is the foundations of what we need: communication, growth together, growth separately. We're both business focused. And having these conversations and setting these foundations has meant, when we reach conflict, because it's inevitable, we both know what we're fighting for, and we both know what we're coming back to. And inside of that, we both set the standard that we won't self-sacrifice. So it's me before us, and it's him before me. And from that place, we hold the standard for each other to continue to grow. And one thing I say to women that are inside, and men actually, that are inside relationships that they're not happy with, is because they stopped holding a standard.
Yeah.
And so to find their way back to harmony or a growth-focused relationship, it's not an ultimatum. It's like, well, actually, I need to have a really honest conversation that I'm not happy with the standard that we have been holding for each other, for ourselves and for each other inside of this relationship. And like, can we recommit to what this standard is going to look like and choose each other from that place?
This is so beautiful, because really we are souls here to grow. So, and I've said for so long, it's me and my self-care and my standards first, for my partner to do the same, and then where do we bring it back together? I've got the family motto tattooed on my arm: always return to love. Because the same thing, you're talking very realistically about relationships, not this, we're just going to gaze into each other's eyes every day and kumbaya our way through this. Do you know what I mean? That the challenges are meant to be there, because that's how we grow. But it's the expectations, I feel like, become demands.
Truly.
And the demand is, there's something wrong with you, it's not me.
Yeah.
And if you could do this, then you would be right for me. And that just unravels a myriad of emotions and what I call false stories and beliefs that we carry with us.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying hearing you talk about it also very realistically.
Yeah. It's really good that you brought that up, because once we lose focus on ground zero and I start projecting my wounds of not being safe and all that stuff onto Lezly, basically what I'm asking her, and this is a very descriptive picture, I need you to fit into the idea of me so I feel safe, not you. So when I speak this into men in regards to the expectation and projecting onto their partners, I said, and even onto our kids, when we tell our kids, oh, be quiet, you're telling them to be quiet for your own nervous system, not theirs. And is that be quiet part that you tell them at 5, 6 years old, then they learn how to be quiet around everyone else, because that's what their nervous system is used to. And it's so good to have that ability to go back to ground zero with Lezly. Like we've had multiple heated disagreements. But
I love that you call it ground zero, because it has a real feeling of neutral. It doesn't belong to one of you, or it belongs to both of you. Yeah.
Well, we had that same conversation you had. Like date 1, we sort of spoke about values, and date 2, we literally were like, well, this is what we value and this is where we're going, and is there alignment?
Yeah.
And ground 0 was really like, well, how do we, and also it's like, how do we, this feeling and this agreement, how do we make it somewhere we can find our way back to when life throws us off course?
Yes.
And then all of the practices we add on top of that. So we do eye gaze because it produces intimacy, but
don't have a problem with eye gazing, but sometimes the relationship
I get
stuff
it.
that
I get
you
it.
see there and everyone's like, oh,
Well, I
don't
think
know,
it's tantra. So I'm I guess like classically trained in tantra for 6 years, and
Yeah.
Our teachers are tantric. We have lessons with them every month. I love the foundational principles. What I often find is lacking is the real world integration.
Absolutely. Beautifully said.
Like I am a tantrika per se, but I'm not living in Bali and all I do is teach tantric retreats. I run 2 very demanding businesses. Laki runs 2 very demanding businesses. I have an 8-year-old, he has a 12-year-old. So I feel sometimes the depth is missing in that, like tantra retreats can give great foundations for intimacy and creating polarity and like returning the spark in relationship. But the tools for me that it's missing is like, well, how do we make this work in life?
Power question.
What happens when we're both scaling businesses and we don't do practice for 3 days and the wheels fall off the relationship because one of us hits a trigger and well, we've got businesses to grow and kids to take care of and something's got to give, like whether it's the relationship or time with the children or focus on business growth. So how do you find a ground 0? How do you negotiate your way back to making sure your individual needs are getting met, your relational needs are getting met, your family needs are getting met, and your business needs are getting met? And
that's a lot of getting met.
It's a lot of getting met.
But that is life.
Truly.
And this is what's so beautiful, that we're talking about a very real conversation here about even bringing spirituality into our physicality, and the business. And so what is it that you both do to ensure that the 2 of you get to come back to ground 0?
We do practice. So the type of practice is it's an I see, I feel practice. So we do that 3 times a week. We have like an hour of power to ourselves on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And the kids know this. When we have the kids, and we just go in the room and we just see each other and see where we're at. So it really allows us. We do the eye gazing there, and it is for me. When I first started, I said that I wanted to do this as an embodiment piece. I said, let's go, let's do this, I'm keen. And then I would watch the time coming to see if she would forget, because that was an edge for me, that intimacy part. It was an edge for me to connect within myself. And now, every now and then it comes up. And when it does come up, I know, I'm consciously aware now there's something within me that I don't want her to see.
And then we're human inside of that.
Yes.
A lot of the work that I teach and that I aim to embody, it's like in the moments where we would miss it or he would ask to move it, or even sometimes it was me on that side of avoidance of self. So I'm like, let's not do practice today. There's like I don't need to be right. And I think a lot of the times, what I feel can happen is that we're wanting to make the other person right or wrong. And if we feel wrong inside of conflict or avoidance, then we can shut down. So in practice, if we don't end up doing practice or one of us asks to skip it, there's a lot of grace there, but there's also what's the word that we just used? There's also a standard. So let's say we skip it once or skip it twice, then we get curious. So we get curious about the why. Why are you avoiding practice? What's going on? Is it really work commitments that you can't avoid? where can we create space for it at another time? And neither one of us are trying to blame the other or make the other wrong. We're always curious about why we're not following our own ground zero, basically, following
I
our
love
own
that.
foundations. So
Yeah.
recently we're both networking a lot at the moment, recording podcasts, going to events. And last week, actually, we noticed that practice kept on getting pushed and pushed and pushed, and we hadn't created space for it. And I'll notice it first because it actually I'm not receiving the nourishment that I need in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm at a place where I would rather not make money if it means I'm going to miss out on love.
Yeah.
So I then get depleted and cranky and like, why are we not prioritizing love? And he's smiling because I'll let you add to this in a minute. But I'm pretty confident that I come into it with curiosity, but I let him know how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, fuck you, you kept moving practice and you're an asshole.
Yes.
I'll drop into the emotion of, I'm feeling really alone right now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really unseen right now. I'm feeling, and whatever it is, the feeling that's underneath what's moving in our world, and I will express that feeling. And from there, we always find our way back to creating more space.
Yeah.
What's one way for someone that's listening to this, because you're very practiced, right? Like I've got a friend that can watch me get really triggered and then like 3 minutes later she's like, you're out of it? And I'm like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because I've been doing this
Yes.
for a very long time. So what's one thing that couples can do, people can do to really attune to what they're really feeling, what that need is?
It's got to come from a place of curiosity for
Yeah.
and I'm speaking to the men. It's like I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, but I was on a retreat where I held space for 21 women. And I was telling this to a friend, and he goes, oh, that's easy. All you just got to do is sit still and just watch them. And I said, that's not how you hold space, bro. It was like, what do you mean? He goes, like, you actually got to mentally and be there. One of the first things Leslie spoke into me when we first got together, she goes, always give me your presence over your performance. So that's always something that I've got in the back of my mind, because if I find myself starting to perform, I'm like, oh crap, where am I? I'm not present now. So going back to curiosity and being present is removing myself from her story that she's telling me, feeling what she's feeling, and trying to because a lot of men will try to do, we will link ourselves to their story to kick them out of their own story and be placed in there. So then this is how we make it all about ourselves. And we remove all of that presence. So we want to come in and fix. So my advice would be for the men to see her, allow her to give her a blank canvas, allow her to paint the picture of what she's feeling, so you can see she's the artist and you get to hold that space and see what is it pain, is it love, is it neglect, or whatever it is. But being curious about questioning her as to where she's at is a whole lot better than trying to fix.
That it feels like to me, when you're putting it that way, that it's also a way of you unraveling from getting pulled into this sticky spider's web. And then if your own is still there after that, and Lezly or the woman has been heard, or the other has been heard and has been felt and seen, Lezly, would you say you then have something then to give back to Laki?
Yeah. I interestingly feel the reason that our relationship works so well is because I learned how to hold myself before trying to give it to someone else.
Yeah.
A lot of the time I feel this projection of, well, I just want him to hold me. And I'm like, have you held yourself there? Actually held yourself there? Can you take yourself to the depths of your soul, and can you actually hold yourself in that first? Because flavor of wanting a man to hold space where it's like, well, I'm not going to go there myself, I want you to hold that, for me is unfair, which is actually how I treated my ex-husband.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I learned how to express my emotions, and now I want you to hold all of this stuff that I'd never learned to hold myself. And it was like I wanted to take it out of me because it was too much and
Yeah.
give it to him and be like, hold this. It's your responsibility now. And he couldn't, because I couldn't. It was like we speak about venom. It's like I wanted him to hold my pain, not to hold me while I alchemized my pain. And I was literally trying to like give him the venom of my pain for the masculine, my pain for life, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I'm speaking to women and those that are listening, it's like, actually the first place to start if you want your partner to hold space for you is to learn how to hold space for yourself, because it's grossly unfair to ask someone to hold something that you're not willing to look at and hold within yourself. Now, I get that sometimes it might feel too scary to touch a place inside of you if there's a lot of trauma or a lot of fear.
Yeah.
But how do you expect them to hold that part of you if you don't know how to hold it yourself? And then to add to that, it's like sometimes we're telling someone we want them to hold us, but if they do it wrong, we're waiting to tell them that it wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you've held yourself in it, so like I can titrate really well. So I'm not saying everyone needs to be like this advanced, like similar to you, like people saying how to get out of triggers, but I can be in my experience or a trigger and I can hold what I'm feeling now and actually hold the reality of what's going on and almost explain to Laki how to help me out of a trigger. So I'll be like, I'm feeling this and this is what I need from you to help move me through this. I can only do that because I spent so much time understanding my internal landscape and building my own safety and own containment before I was asking him to contain any part of me. So if a woman's listening and they're like, how do I even start? Honestly, just forget about your partner and spend the time being like, all right, how do I find it? How do I hold it? And how do I love it? Because it's unfair for us to ask someone to love a part of us that we don't even love ourselves.
That is really powerful and very true. And it's like anything I need to hear from someone else, I'll say, okay, now where do I feel that in me? Anything, touch, hug, whatever, I will set up for myself. But it's a courageous journey. And it's unraveling everything the world tells us, although that is changing a bit now. But, I know from personal experience, and this is just not just with my husbands or anything like that, with anyone in my life, my mother included, my father included, the minute I took care of my own needs, the minute I reclaimed parts of myself that wanted to call out through me as the woman, the minute the energy shifted, and then I no longer went to my father needing something, I communicated. And then if it didn't work, it's like, that's okay. I remember saying to my father once, that's okay, Dad, we can agree to disagree. And I was packing my bags to come back to Perth, and he just walked into the room and I felt his energy presence so different. And he just said, I love you, Kaye. I've so enjoyed the time with you here. I'm sorry I didn't hear you. But it's like, that was very nice to receive, but I realized I didn't need it. I wasn't asking for it anymore. I wasn't demanding it. And then I also got to witness him through different eyes. And I've had that within friendships, within my marriages, within everybody. I've come to understand very shamanically for me that it really is about fulfilling everything inside of myself, just what you're talking about, Lezly. And in that, you release a holding pattern you have the other person held in. And suddenly they're freed and then are making I really want to do this, or I really want to change, or the change just seems almost miraculous because you've unplugged from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to add to that. It's like, I'm also more so for people that don't know the discernment. I'm not like an independent woman. I'm very like submissive, traditional wife.
Yeah.
Need my husband. And I just wanted to add that in because I don't want people to attach to the self holding and think, yeah, well, I'm going to push out everyone else, not need anyone else, and fulfill my own needs. Because it's like the great cosmic joke is, once you can do that for yourself, you'll meet it in another. Like, I'm positive that the only reason Laki can meet me the way he does is because of how I meet myself.
Yes.
But I need him. Like, I just want people to hear that I'm like not Miss Independent, don't need no man, gonna do all the work. I'm literally like, he's laughing because I'm so needy in the sense that I'm like, I need you.
I'm doing a happy dance inside of myself, guys, because I was going to lead into this question, right? And Laki, let's start with you, because I observe, I mean, we've got contact with everyone's thoughts and opinions and posts and all the rest of it. And I sit back and I observe what's happening also for men, right? Where women are posting these posts, excuse the expression, it's very much about fuck yous, this is what's wrong with you, and I'm this, chest beating female that doesn't need you. And I sit there and they're under spiritual sort of banners, and I'm just like, this is nasty. This is really nasty. I used to say in my 20s that women, we collectively, all ages, all generations, have come to a point of, I feel like, confusing men, right? So back in the day, it was very masculine and go out and do the job, and I'll stay home, be the wife and raise the children and do all of that. And I'm talking sort of generically. And then it's like, no, we want you to be more in touch with our feelings, and we want you to, almost become more feminine. And then I witness men now confused or many men confused because, well, who do you really want me to be? And then there are the women that are going, bugger off. This is what's wrong with you. This is what's wrong with you. This is what's wrong with you. And I'm an amazing, independent, capable woman, and I don't need you. Can you speak into that? That's a big one, I know. And you can tell it. It just gets me a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I've got a son and daughters, and that's not how I see it should be addressed.
No, this is. I spoke into this a couple of years ago, actually, and in a men's circle, about how society is molding. Society is being molded in a way to remove the warriors from community. Back in the day, when you went to war to take over a village or all that stuff, you take out the warriors and everything was done. Now we can't do that. This is a different time and age. So if we are able to emasculate the man, the warriors stand down. And for this perception of, like, I love it when Leslie's in Boss Babe mode. Not gonna lie, it's a bit of a turn on to see her just like dominate that world. But when the business day is over, I get to become this version of this man that she wants, where I get to see her melt and just be this chaotic, live in that chaotic feminine energy. And it's, men can't feel what women feel.
No.
And it's a massive misconception there that we have to feel, you have to feel my pain. So no, we're here to see it and help you through it. Oh,
that's powerful. Let's just pause there for a moment. Can you say that one again, Laki, please?
Yeah, I'm not here to feel your pain. I'm here to see your pain. And
that's washing over me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the way society is going now, they want us to compete. And a lot of men men compete against men. We're not here to compete against women in anything, especially in a relationship. And that was one of my biggest teaching points in my past marriage, was that I was competing against someone who always wanted to hold the steering wheel in the car. And it was never going to work if that was the dynamic of the relationship. Yeah. And it's quite sad, because in all reality, women are starting to become this, Miss Independent, that they're becoming the man they want within themselves.
Ooh, let that one land. Really let that one land. And I'm an incredibly independent woman, but I love being in a relationship.
Truly.
Yeah.
And I want to add to this because I was that woman. I was if you look at internal energetics and dynamics, we all have alpha and omega, masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
And essentially in hyper masculine or independent women, if they don't understand energetic agility, and this was true for me, it's like I did become the only alpha in my life, but I didn't understand that I was allowed to be both. And one of the biggest gifts I was given from a teacher of mine was, well, Lezly, no one's asking you to stop being a boss, babe. You've just got to learn to put that part of you down when your husband comes home, and that's what we're working on. Like, you still get to make the money and have the career and have the personal brand, and what we're doing inside of this work is like not asking you to be less than what you are, but it's learning the skills to be like, okay, Laki's home, I'm going to stop thinking now. It's like learning to put down the steering wheel and even the fucking map. Like, we don't need to care. And oftentimes, and this is my motto still now, and it was one thing that I tell the women that I work with, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yes.
And we take away a man's, because women are more capable than men. I love you what we are. Men think like this, women think like this. So we can have 20 things on the go and figure it all out and make it work. And men are like one thing, like focused and logical. There's nothing wrong with that because they often get further because they're so focused. We have 10 things and they only go half as far. But we expect men to behave like women. They don't. We expect them to feel emotion like women. They don't. We expect them to relate like women. They don't. And if they do, there's no polarity, and this is why relationships fail. But just because I can doesn't mean I should is my motto, and what I teach women is because I might be capable. I might be able to fix the bathroom sink or figure out plans for the weekend. But if I don't stop myself from being over-functioning, where's the space for him to lead? How does he create his own leadership inside the relationship if I'm like, well, I'm just going to do everything because I know how? And it's like a conscious decision to put down the hyper independence and to put down the over functioning and be like, I'm just going to create space for him to do things on his time, because men tend to move a little slower than women.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to try to control the outcome. So if I think I can do it better than him, I don't care. I would rather have a relationship where he can lead than a relationship where I have to be right. And I think that's where we go wrong. I don't need to be right. I don't care. I just need him to like step into the space that I create.
Yeah.
But he won't do that if I'm A, not creating space, and B, waiting to tell him that I can do it better than him anyway.
Wow. Do you have some form of ritual, or is it just that intention to create that after you've both been really busy in your businesses? Is there something that you do? Because I'm always saying to people, we need to bring back ritual. And ritual doesn't have to be light a candle and say things and all the rest of it. You know, how I prepare in the morning is incredibly ritualistic for me. You know, when I was out in re-entered the workforce, and, you know, and I was in management and my husband was in management, we'd come home, we had to create a new ritual, which is, I called it the camp fireside. You know, we come in, we're carrying stuff from the day. You get 15 minutes to vent, I get 15 minutes to vent, and then we separate for a bit, shower, whatever, and it's not brought up again. We come back downstairs to cook dinner, so it's like a derobing, and it was a very conscious choice to go,
True.
if we don't do this, we're just going to never let go of rat what happened in the day, and then we're just irritating each other because there's no softening on my side and no space for him on the other as well. Do you have some form of ritual?
I'm more conscious of it because I work from home and he goes to an office. So probably more so when he walks in the door, it's like I will generally make an effort to like go get up, meet him at the door. And for me, that's like, okay, husband's home now, your wife, basically.
Yeah.
If you come so early, less so because it's lunchtime now and I've still got a half a day to get through. But I think for me, it's just like, yeah, it's more of a knowing inside of myself that like when I step away from the computer, I'm not in charge anymore. And it's kind of like my desk is my workspace, and outside of that, it's like this is the energy of Boss Babe, and almost this room is the energy, like at our office, we share an office, is the energy of Boss Babe. But like the second I leave this office room, I don't want to anymore. And
so you're
for me,
literally crossing a threshold.
truly, like crossing a threshold into, and he'll call me out on it too. Like, if I'm still in Boss Babe and he'll literally say, "Do you trust me to lead?" And I'll be like, "Oh,
well, there's
really? I was still in Boss Babe mode."
That's a really great line.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It's something that Wolf, like I had to, like, when we started seeing each other, I needed that safety to, and I had to keep asking, so, do you trust me? And she would say, yes, I trust you to lead. I'd say, cool, now this is what we're going to do. And it's like coming home, and she'll meet me at the door if it's like after 3 or 4, and she'll say, what do you want a snack? And straight away, I know that she's out. She's out of Boss Babe mode. She's into wifey mode. I was like, cool, let's do X, Y, and Z. And while she's making something, then I'll sit there and talk to her about my day.
Yeah.
And by the time we've had dinner, the day has finished, and we get to be.
Laki, how did being in the military for so long serve you? And there were the elements then of where it worked against you in becoming more consciously aware?
I was never conscious in the military. I was living through my wounds, and if anything, it kind of woke me up to the idea of what brotherhood really is, as opposed to what I knew brotherhood was. Like, alcohol was our second language, trauma bonding over everything and all that stuff. But the camaraderie was real. The friendships were real. They're still real today. And just that discipline to see it through, or to sit through the hard stuff. For me, my hard stuff now is acknowledging the parts of me that need to be healed, because a lot of work has been done, but the healing happens when you're in a relationship. That's the ground where that's your boxing ring.
And it's very easy to feel that you've healed a whole lot of stuff. Like when I left my husband and I became a born again virgin very consciously for about 3+ years, deliberately, because I'd married young. But it's very easy to feel like we've healed a lot of stuff until you either go back and visit your family or end up in a relationship.
Conscious relationship. I was single and celibate for 4 years. All I studied was Tantra, conscious relating, polarity, devotional woman, like literally. Went to retreats and healed my mother wounds, healed all the things.
Yeah.
I took 12 months off, spent close to $500,000 and like went head first into like plant medicine, breath work, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I met Laki and I was like, the fuck did I do all of that for? because it's like there's only so much. Yes, I believe it brought me to the place where I could hold a conscious relationship. Yes. So I would go and do it again in a heartbeat, because it allowed me to be the woman that could create space for a man to rise. And I'm of the opinion that the woman has to rise first. In my view, we priestess our partners, husbands, into their evolution. And when you look at traditional Tantra, we're constantly reminding them of their consciousness, because we're actually more conscious by nature.
Yeah.
And often we're like bringing them out of being unconscious, because especially when men have a lot of purpose, they've got big missions, they can sort of slip in and out of consciousness. But that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, for 4 years I did the work, and then he still triggers me. But we don't take it personally. Like, even if we're in a trigger in the moment and it's like a fracture or a separation, because we have ground zero, we are so curious and we'll always come back to like, well, how did we get into such a big trigger? What was the trigger? And we're always like trying to educate each other on how to love each other better.
Yeah.
Like we've touched on it a few times, but I'd love you to speak to unconscious expectations and how we like, we can get mad at our partner for not meeting us in a place we haven't even told them to meet us.
Oh, yeah,
And
like
this is
mind read it.
Literally, but we expect it of each other. So when we're in a trigger, we're always just so curious, not always in the moment. Sometimes we need a few hours to come out of the trigger and to soothe ourselves, but it's like I'm not trying to make him wrong and he's not trying to make me wrong. We're just trying to figure out what happened and how to do better next time.
Yeah, well, one of the biggest things that I teach is the silent contracts that us as men make with our wives or our partners who never signed. And it's a very common thing that we have this expectation of how she should be able to see me, hold me, and understand what's going through my mind. And we say, but you've signed the contract. Why don't you know this? Why aren't you doing this? And well, one thing earlier on in the piece, when there was a big trigger that Lezly held, she went, I just said, okay, if you need to hide, go hide somewhere where I can find you. And I'll come and see you in a couple of hours. She just went to the room, jumped on her iPad, watched the movie. A couple of hours later, I walked in and we talked and we were able to dissolve that charge. But it was the knowing and the curiosity behind everything that we were doing.
Yeah. And it's similar. I think
becoming self-observant. Sorry, Lezly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Becoming self-observant and having the intention to remove rather than remain in the trigger. And,
truly.
Yeah. And then you can come into the other or come back down and bring some clarity and peace and resolve to it.
We're not trying to make it mean anything.
Yeah.
I think where people get stuck is there's unconscious agreements and we get mad because like we make men sign unconscious agreements too. Like he should just know that I'm upset and know what to do. No one can read anyone's mind. You have to learn to, and this in my view is the biggest thing in relationships is that we haven't learned how to meet our needs ourselves or ask for our needs to be met in someone else. And when you can nail these two things, like I actually know what I need in conflict now. It took us a few triggers to get there, but I actually want to be penetrated like energetically when I'm in conflict because it's like I can feel the little girl that comes up and wants to push him out and be like, fuck you, go away. But my woman is actually wanting connection.
Yes.
So in those triggers, in learning that, it's like we've found this place where he can give me space if I'm trying to push, but he'll also come back in and be like, well, I'm not going anywhere. So will you just let me love you again, please? But
I call those for me like tipping point behaviors. And when you recognize that tipping point behavior and what it is you're really wanting, you can pull yourself out of it even faster, but even better again, if your partner knows, oh, that's Kaye's tipping point behavior. She really is seeking connection.
Yes.
But she's creating a fight, right? So the connection can feel profound after the ridiculous fight. But
Truly.
learning that that's a tipping point behavior or was a tipping point behavior for me made me question going, okay, calm down. And I'd take myself away going,
Yes.
you really want connection. So just go back and say, I really want to feel connection.
Yeah. For me, it was like, I'm mad because I'm not getting connection, but then this behavior is ensuring that I don't get more connection.
Yes.
And what became really useful was like, I would just speak out the crazy in my head and be like, this is what I want, but this is what the younger part, because I have that awareness, but there's a part of you that's, and also trying to confirm a story. Like it was wild to witness at the beginning because I could feel where I wanted connection, but the story was I wasn't going to get it, but I was doing everything to make sure I wasn't getting it. And so even speaking that and being like, it's like a crazy person inside of my head because I can like witness the conflict, Like the
Yes.
part of me that wants connection, the part of me that's used to not getting it. And speaking that to Laki, it's like he could then get a sense of the chaos and be able to like be like, all right, well, I'm just going to be here and you can't avoid me, basically.
Yeah.
So the work that you both do with couples, aside from your other businesses and everything that you do, are these the skills, like your ground zero stuff, that you're actually bringing to the rooms? And are you working separately or are you doing this collectively or both?
We do it separately in the first part. So I walk away with the men.
In the retreats, yeah.
Yeah. And Lezly does the walks away with the woman. And we teach them everything we know about how to hold ourselves first before we come together, and teach them how to hold each other.
Yeah.
And one of the recent retreats that we did, it was interesting because I spoke, when I took the men, the first thing I asked them was, who doesn't want to be here? 80% of them put their hand up.
80.
Yep. And then I said, who was told to be here? Probably, it was 100%. Kind of thing. And then I started speaking into the way us men, the old version of me to think is to why, and the way that we need to take on leadership. And I've spoken to a whole lot of things, but it was interesting for them to actually be able to see themselves raise their hand. And by the end of the day, I can guarantee that all of them they learned something, and they walked away with something that they didn't know before they turned up. And that's all this is scratching that surface for them to actually see what's below this, what's below.
But from your perspective, even if they were told you're coming, right? The fact that they even showed up, there must be a part of them that's like, I want this relationship. I still want this relationship. Oh, do you know what I mean? And it starts in the discomfort, and then with skilled facilitators, as you say, scratching that surface, and that's a beautiful thing. So I also want to just acknowledge, men, that even if you felt like you've been pulled to go in there, that is and I want the women to hear this. That is an act of showing up to be with you. It's another way of choosing you.
Well, that's one thing I spoke to the woman about. It was talking about the invitation. They say, you can never get a man to do something you want them to compare them to another man that's within your realm. Yep. There is nothing worse. And this happened, I'm speaking from experience. She came back from a retreat and said the way this man held space was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And comparison is the biggest thief of joy, especially in men, when they do the incapability and understanding and knowing to show up for you, but they're just not there yet.
We've got to give each
lesson for the women.
I acknowledge every week when my husband's made different changes or a different response or something like that, to say I really appreciate this change that you're making. So they feel like, or he feels like, okay, I'm getting it right, and then he can build upon that. Do you know what I mean? And he'll do the same with me. He'll go, I really, really appreciated, that you just made this choice, or that you came back down so fast, or whatever it was. But otherwise we can fall into that, oh God, you're not doing enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gratitude and appreciation for the micro moments, that compounds.
Yes.
So one of the biggest things, like, be grateful for what they're doing, stop expecting them to do more.
Yes.
And then just to add to the work conversation, we have our a group container together. So Laki works with the men for 1 week, I work with the women for 1 week, and then we get together as a couple, because we didn't want to be, and especially me, I didn't want to be a woman trying to tell a man how to be a man and how to lead in a relationship. And I think, men will say yes to their wives because they love them, not necessarily because they want to do the work. And my teacher said this to me at the very beginning, and it was the same with Laki. He will do it because he loves you, not because he wants to. And then one day he'll wake up and he'll do it because he wants to.
Yes.
And it's like, that being enough and not like placing my expectations on him.
Yeah.
And so it's like having that awareness, and why we do the work together is so, okay, maybe the woman did invite the man to do the work, but then they get to be with a man that can teach them the man's side rather than me trying to dictate everything.
Yeah.
And so I never actually, even though I've studied it for 6 years, I didn't step into this work until I met Laki, because I was like, well, I don't want to hold the pillar for the man. That's not my responsibility. I can give them insight into the feminine, of course,
Yes.
but I didn't want to hold that pillar. So yeah, the work that we do is always collective and then individual. So I coach women on how to show up better in relationship, or I don't even like calling the one, become your own match, so you can meet that outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And then Laki also works with men too, men's coaching and retreats and
the men's coaching. I focus on the archetypes, the king, the magician, the warrior, the lover. And once a man understands those archetypes and what role they play within life, it's a profound knowledge, because a lot of men out there, the lover is driving. The lover never drives the heart or the man, because the lover has no boundaries, because he always needs to be loved. And when you have no boundaries, you just fall into hole after hole after hole.
I'm so glad the knight wasn't in those archetypes. You know, the one that the women all want, the knight to come in, you know, shining armor and save them. And
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's the princess. That's what I was saying before, when it's like there's no self-responsibility. That is the princess that wants the knight to save them, because they're not willing to face themselves in it. And that's generally what's wrong, and why we get in unbalanced relational dynamics, because the energy was off in the beginning. We weren't looking for our match, like our equal or our counterpart. We were looking for someone to save us because we weren't willing to do the work to find and love ourselves. And if that is the energy you enter a relationship from, in my view, then you're asking for an imbalance inside of that container.
Beautiful. So we will have any links that you want to give me, and we'll put it at the bottom of the description where people can reach out if they want to find out more about working with you and your retreats, etc. We could definitely have you both back on again, talking about, I know we touched on one about, spiritually people can earn money, and spiritual money and wealth and business can go hand in hand. So maybe we'll look at that one down the track. I'll ask you each individually. Lezly, the podcast is called Inner Voice of Knowing. Do you feel you have an inner voice of knowing? And if so, how has it served you?
Oh, yes. I definitely have an inner voice of knowing. How it has served me, I think in this path, in like walking me to more of my purpose and to love, I think my inner voice of knowing really was this self-relationship. Like, it felt really hard. It felt really confronting. And I've got like big T trauma in my childhood. But from the day that I like woke up 6 years ago, all I knew was I needed to like find and love the parts of me that I had outcast, basically. And that has helped in my business. It has helped in like calling in the one. So yeah, my inner voice of knowing has just been like, the only way is through, and I have the answers to everything that I want, and it's an inward journey that I need to face, not an outward exploration.
Yeah, beautiful. Laki, what about you?
My inner voice of knowing has been, how has it served me? It served me in the way that I can step fully into my purpose, which is way bigger than who I am today. It to consciously take a path down in service of men. My life in general has always been in service, and the service that I have to the men of my community is profound, and it's not mine. I am here to start it. I'm here to see it take off, and then I'm here to pass it on. So creating that lighthouse for men to step in who want better, this is my guide.
That is so beautiful. And there's one question. I know you've been very generous with your time, but I feel like it's here because I need to ask it. People going through some really big challenges in their relationships right now that feel like they might need to break up. In your professional opinions, can you see where the old way dissolves and the new way can grow together outside of that?
For me, it's like you've got to choose it. In fact, when we invite people into retreat, I ask them to this is the line in the sand. And if you want a relationship that works, you actually have to choose to let the past be the past, because what we're otherwise doing is just bringing that old energy into the new way of being, and it won't work. Now, if there's serious trust that's been broken, and there's generally over, decade in relationship, there's stuff that needs to be cleared.
Yeah.
But you can't hold on to it anymore. You actually can't heal a relationship if the way you think you're going to heal a relationship is by talking through everything that you've done wrong for the past decade.
Yeah.
You actually just have to be I'm a new person today. This is the rules of Ground Zero. This is the values of Ground Zero. This is the focus we want for the relationship. And I'm willing to do whatever work I need to do to let go of the past. And if you aren't willing to do that, if you write or if you need to continue to dig up the past, then you forward. And that's the deciding factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I agree with everything that Lezly spoke into. You really need to be able to choose it and want it more than anything else. You have to feel it for yourself, and it has to be for yourself. If you're doing it for the other person, you're affecting your people pleasing. You're not doing it for yourself. Therefore, when something is created out of purity, it will last forever. And when you create it for another reason other than the pureness of what your heart wants, it's just going to be epic.
Thank you both so much for bringing such groundedness to this with an equal measure of divinity to it as well. Grace. It was a really well-rounded conversation about being human and what it takes and the choices. And I really appreciate you both showing up with just so much openness and so much heart and so much authenticity. I really appreciate you being on.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Join me on my next episode. And if you love this podcast, please subscribe by clicking on the plus button if you're on Apple, or like and follow on Spotify. Rate and review. And please share Inner Voice of Knowing with your friends.